The Browning M2 is not just a heavy machine gun. It is one of the most enduring symbols of modern military power, a weapon that has crossed more than a century of wars, conflicts, and technological transformations without ever losing its relevance on the battlefield. Created at the end of World War I by John Moses Browning, one of the greatest firearms designers in history, the M2 was born from the need for a weapon capable of engaging tougher targets than standard infantry, including light vehicles, improvised fortifications, and even low-flying aircraft. The design of the Browning M2 was inspired by Browning's earlier projects, especially the Browning 1919 machine gun, which used the .30-06 caliber. However, after World War I, the U.S. military realized that the available firepower was still insufficient to meet the challenges of modern warfare. A more powerful weapon was required, one with greater range and penetration. This led to the development of the 12.7 by 99 mm cartridge, globally known as the 50 BMG Browning machine gun. This caliber was created specifically for the M2, combining high velocity, massive kinetic energy, and exceptional penetration capability. With it, the machine gun could punch through walls, lightly armored vehicles, aircraft skins, and even light concrete structures. From the beginning, the Browning M2 proved extremely versatile. It could be mounted on tripods for ground combat, installed on tanks, armored vehicles, jeeps, patrol boats, and adapted for aircraft use. Its ruggedness and reliability quickly became legendary. Soldiers from multiple generations learned to trust the M2 even in extreme conditions of dust, mud, scorching heat, and freezing cold. During World War II, the M2 became a constant presence across battlefields in Europe, North Africa, and the Pacific. On American tanks, such as the M4 Sherman, it was used both against enemy infantry and as an improvised anti-aircraft weapon. On ships and landing craft, it protected troops during amphibious assaults. In bombers and fighter aircraft, modified versions of the M2 formed deadly walls of fire against enemy planes. Its psychological impact was immense. The deep, thunderous sound of the .50 caliber firing often forced enemy troops to seek cover immediately. A single, well-positioned M2 could control large areas of the battlefield, halting advances and protecting strategic positions. After World War II, the M2 continued heavy use during the Korean War. In the frozen mountains of the Korean Peninsula, the machine gun once again proved its toughness, functioning reliably in extremely low temperatures. It was used to defend positions and provide suppressive fire against massive enemy assaults. During the Vietnam War, the M2 became a key defensive weapon for military bases, helicopters, river patrol boats, and convoy vehicles. In the jungles and river systems of Southeast Asia, its firepower was crucial in repelling ambushes and surprise attacks. Often, the presence of an M2 mounted in a high position was enough to give U.S. forces a decisive tactical advantage. In the 21st century, during operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, the M2 once again demonstrated why it remains in service. Mounted on Humvees, MR-8 vehicles, and observation posts, it was used against insurgents, enemy vehicles, and fortified positions. Its long-range accuracy and barrier penetration power made it one of the most feared weapons in these conflicts. What is truly remarkable is that despite being designed over 100 years ago, the Browning M2 remains the primary heavy machine gun of the United States military and allied nations. Very few weapons in history have maintained such long-term relevance. Within the U.S. arsenal, only the Colt 1911 pistol, also designed by John Browning, has had a similar service life. Much of this success comes from the simplicity and effectiveness of its design. The M2 operates using a short recoil system that is incredibly robust. Its solid steel construction allows it to withstand the immense stresses produced by the 50 caliber rounds. Although heavy, often exceeding 38 kilograms without mounting hardware, this weight helps absorb recoil and maintain stability during sustained fire. Over the decades, the weapon has received modernizations, improved sights, safety enhancements, and ammunition feeding upgrades, but its core mechanical design remains largely unchanged since the 1920s. Today, the Browning M2 is manufactured in the United States mainly by General Dynamics and U.S. Ordnance for government use and allied nations through foreign military sales programs. The Belgian company FN Herstal has also produced the M2 since 1930, supplying it to many armed forces worldwide. The machine gun is used by dozens of countries across all continents, adapted for various platforms and combat roles. In some armies, it is mounted on automated turrets. In others, it remains on traditional tripods operated by gun crews. Throughout its history, several variants of the Browning M2 have been developed to meet specific needs. One of the most important appeared during World War II for aircraft use, the AN M3. This version was designed to fire at much higher rate, reaching around 1,200 rounds per minute, nearly double the standard ground version. Despite the increased rate of fire, it used the same 50 BMG cartridge with minimal changes to weight or size. The AN M3 saw widespread service in aircraft such as the P-51 Mustang, F-82 Twin Mustang, F-86 Sabre, F-84 Thunderjet, and F-80 Shooting Star during the Korean War and later conflicts. Some experimental setups, like the XP-82, mounted as many as 14 AN M3 machine guns in a single aircraft, creating overwhelming firepower. During the Vietnam War, the AN M3 was also used in gun pods such as the XM-14 and SUU-12A mounted on light attack aircraft, allowing massive volumes of fire to be delivered against ground targets. Even today, modernized versions of the M2 remain in aerial service. A notable example is the Embraer EMB 314 Super Tucano, used by several air forces worldwide. In this aircraft, the M3W variant is mounted in the wings with about 250 rounds per gun, providing strong fire support in close air support missions. Beyond aerial versions, numerous ground variants have been developed, including models with quick-change barrels, improved cooling, and modern targeting systems adapted to contemporary armored vehicles. Despite its age, few weapons have managed to fully replace the M2. Many nations have attempted to introduce more modern heavy machine guns, but the Browning's combination of reliability, firepower, range, and simplicity remains difficult to surpass. In modern combat, the M2 still fulfills the same role it did during World War II, dominating open terrain, protecting convoys, neutralizing enemy positions, and providing heavy fire support for ground troops. Its effective range can exceed 1,800 meters against ground targets, and under certain conditions, rounds can travel even farther. The 50 BMG ammunition is also famous for its ability to penetrate obstacles like brick walls, thick tree trunks, and civilian vehicles. For all these reasons, the Browning M2 has become more than just a weapon. It is a living legend of military engineering, a demonstration of how a well-designed system can remain effective across generations. From the trenches of World War I to the deserts of the Middle East, from the jungles of Vietnam to the skies of Korea and the battlefields of Europe, the M2 has been present in nearly every major conflict of the last century. As new technologies emerge, including armed drones, automated weapon systems, and directed energy weapons, the old Browning still holds its place, proving that sometimes the classics truly are unbeatable.
The M2 is not just steel and gunpowder. It is an entire chapter of modern warfare history, a weapon that shaped battles, protected soldiers, and defined firepower for nations for over 100 years. And by all indications, even after a century of service, this legendary machine gun still has many years ahead on the battlefield.